As a mindset coach, I come in and really help you to expand your mind around what's possible for you, and then help you to believe what's possible for you.
Welcome to the House of Jermar podcast, where wellness starts within. The House of Jermar is a lifestyle brand empowering women to live all in interior design and personal wellness. We are a destination for women ready to reimagine what is possible in their homes and lives and then create it. We are honored to have you join us on our mission to empower 1 million women to live all in. I am your host, Jean Collins, and I invite you to become inspired by this week's guest. Welcome to the House of Jermar podcast, where wellness starts within. I'm your host, Jean Collins, and this week we're going to have a great discussion with somebody who is actually so special for me. This is Valerie Priester. She is a mindset coach. She specializes in helping female entrepreneurs really find their way in their businesses and help them with their money issues and their mindset issues. And I was fortunate to have Valerie as a mindset coach for me personally, as part of a coaching program that I was a part of when I first started my interior design business. And Valerie left her mark as the most amazing person, and her mindset and her wisdom and her knowledge and her energy are so great. So I am happy to share Valerie with everybody. So welcome, Valerie, to the House of Jermar podcast.
Thank you so much, Jean. You know, I am honored to be here, and thank you for just remembering me. And I love the fact that I made an impact in your life. I love that. So thank you.
Oh, you did. You did. And I'm still friends with some people who are in the program. So just to give Terry Taylor a call out here from IDBA, that is how I met Valerie. I did the Interior Design Business Academy for the first 2 years that I was an interior designer in business. And I am a huge proponent of coaches. And I speak about this a lot, that I've hired coaches along the way of my career journey, especially in the last 5 years. And so I'm a huge proponent of coaches. And as part of that, one of the reasons why I was drawn to that program was because of you and the mindset part that you offered. It wasn't just learning how to run an interior design business. I needed that, but I also needed the mindset because I was a new entrepreneur and the imposter syndrome was there looming over me all the time, and money issues. And I mean, everything that you specialize in, that was me. And sometimes is still me. And I still have friends from that program, and we talk about you.
Oh, wow.
And you have a podcast, and whenever I'm having a down moment, I go and I listen to you, and you have this voice that is, I'm like, there's that Valerie wisdom again. There it is. I'm hearing it. I'm jiving with it. It's like my personal church is listening to Valerie.
And so as soon as I started that podcast, because everyone kept saying, I could just listen to your voice all day, right? I could just listen to you all day. And of course, you know, once you start learning from someone, you can hear their voice in times that you really need it.
Yes.
So that, oh my God, that means a lot to me. Thank you.
And your voice, I'm telling you, and your podcasts are so great because they're really short. And so they're short little nuggets of wisdom. And so if I'm struggling, I go out for a walk and I can play 5 episodes while I'm walking, and I'll be like, okay, Valerie, pick me back up. We're good. We're aligned now, because it's a lot of what you helped teach me back when I was in that coaching program. So thank you. I'm so glad to share you with everybody else.
I'm glad to be here. I am excited. I always love talking to you anyway, because your energy is so great. And I love that you're doing this now, because this is so a part of you. This is like who you are. And so I love this.
Thank you. And I love it too. We have very similar missions in trying to really help women and to help women get out of their own way and to live better lives and live a little bit more truer to themselves and get over some of their fears and some of their roadblocks, and to help give them tips and tricks to be able to do that. So we have very similar missions with our businesses, which I love.
Yeah, definitely my desire in life is to make sure that women know their power. They know that they can have, do, or be anything that they desire, and they stand in that. Right?
I love it.
So I am all about empowering us to be all that we can be.
I love it. So tell our audience, how did you get into coaching? How did you decide mindset? Because it's not like at 16, you're like, hi, I want to be a mindset coach. That's not how this works, right? And so one of the things I love to share on the podcast are people's journeys and their stories, because I think people can sometimes relate to different nuggets within that. And then if they see our journeys are not A to B, they're not linear. We talk about this all the time on my show and on every show. Nothing is linear. And so I think there's so much that people can learn by hearing people's real stories and seeing how did they get to where they are now, because now you're living your best life. And that just doesn't happen without a lot of work and without a lot of zigzags. So if you wouldn't mind, share your story. How did you decide you wanted to be a mindset coach?
Whew, absolutely. So, Jean, I'm going to say it started when I was very young, probably 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
I remember lining up my Barbie dolls
Yeah.
on the couch
Yeah.
so that I could teach them.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
That's where it started. I think
Okay.
it started right there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
As we progressed through life and as I, grew up and started in the corporate world and went through all of that, I remember on my last corporate job before I went into my business full time, I was a lead project manager for the largest medical facility in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And we started a Bible study at work. And I became, of course, the leader. Now, I always used to tease and say, I don't know how I always get picked to be the leader, but I do know because I'm a leader.
Of course. I was going to say that is no surprise, but okay.
So I got picked to be the leader. And so every week we would have topics that we would talk about to really just get some clarity around how do you live the most victorious life, which is also where my business name came from.
Right.
So it was 5 women that I was working with, and they all wanted to know, how is it that you stay so positive and it just seems like nothing ever phases you,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes from within, right? And it came from me being who I'm just innately that person, right? And I started working with them, and they started down these paths of I want more, I want a better job, I want a better relationships. One wanted to participate more in her church and wanted to be more of a leader in her church, and one wanted to start a business. And these 5 women, I started working with them. Every week we coach and talk about the things that they were dealing with, and I give them strategies and techniques and things to use to help them overcome some of the challenges that they were facing, where their lives totally changed.
Wow.
And it was these 5 women that said, you should look into coaching. I was like, coaching? What's that?
The suggestions that you gave to them, was it just things that you had read about, things that you had learned that had worked for you? So the education of life, of Valerie's life, that is providing the foundation for how you started this.
Absolutely.
Which
Totally
I love
my
that.
life experience.
I love that, because sometimes people think they don't have any expertise, and we don't give enough value to your life experience is education.
Is
There is
the
that. It is.
expertise that you
Yes,
have.
that's the
Yeah.
expertise and the education.
Everything.
Interesting.
Everything that I shared with them, everything that I helped them through came from my life experiences.
Right.
I had no idea what coaching was.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? I'm thinking athletic coach?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Like, I can't run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was at their prompting. And then I said, well, okay, let me look into this. And I began to do my due diligence and search out, what is this coaching about? I wanted to make sure that I had training
Yes.
behind me, because coaching is very different from therapy or counseling, right? We want to make sure that we separate those two.
Right.
And so I found a program that aligned at the time with my values, with my beliefs, and what I wanted to be able to share with the world.
Okay.
So I actually started as a certified Christian coach.
Wow.
Certified Christian life coach. Yes.
Who knew that even existed? That's great.
Yeah, who knew? And I went through the certification, I trained, and once I got my certification, I said, okay, I think this is it, right? And I said, okay, I guess I'm going into business to do this. Well, I still didn't know anything at the time. Like, how do you even do a business with life coaching?
Right.
So I just started telling people, I'm a life coach. I can help you. I'm a life coach. I think I started with like $25.
Yeah.
Ordered my business cards from Vistaprint.
Yep.
Right? Long ago.
Yep.
And I just started telling people. And of course, the 5 women that I worked with started telling people. And then I started doing some workshops. On the weekends, I would rent out a room at the library, do some workshops on mindset.
Yep.
Way back then.
Way back then.
And it just blossomed. Well, 3 years in, I decided, I was like, this is so difficult to be able to market and promote, because no one's walking around saying, I think I need a mindset coach.
Right.
Who says that?
Right. Yeah.
right? Who's
Right.
saying that?
Yeah.
Or I think I need somebody to fix my life. I need a
Right.
life coach. No one was saying that. So it was difficult to learn how to promote and market myself in that arena. And women were coming to me, but what I found out was that the women that were coming, they wanted help with their coaching business.
Interesting. They
And I
wanted a
was like,
coach for their coaching business.
for their coaching business. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. But
Yep.
I was never talking about business ever. I was always talking about life challenges and
Sure.
struggles,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so at the time I had a coach, a business coach. I've always had a coach. I believe in coaching. I
Right.
believe in my product.
Yep.
Okay. And that coach said to me, well, the women that are coming, if they need help with their business, why aren't you helping them with the business? And I was like, well, 'cause I'm not a business coach,
Right.
right? I was only 3 years in. I was like, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I
Right.
can't help them with business.
Right. How am I going to help someone about being an entrepreneur when I feel like I've
Right.
barely
And
figured it out?
just in this. So she was like, well, if that's why they're coming, that's what they need help with. And so if you're saying are you saying you don't want to help them? And that like pierced my heart. I was like,
Right.
well, of course not. I want to help everyone. Right. And that's kind of the attitude I had when I went into business. Like, I want to help everyone.
Right.
But I knew it was women mainly.
Yes.
Right. Because of my challenges, because of my struggles that I had been through in life. I've been a single parent for many, many years and struggled in relationships. I've been married 3 times, third time is a charm.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
Love that. Yes.
27 years later, 3 times a charm. And I struggle with all those things that women were dealing with. Learning to love yourself, learning to know that you're worthy, know that you deserve better in life.
Right.
And so my desire has always been, I have to help these women know that. I have to help them know that there's greater for them
Sure.
and they can do that. So it was nothing about business. I'm like, what am I going to do with business coaching?
Right.
But when she said that, so you're saying you don't want to help them, it like pierced my heart. I was like, oh, no, I have to help them.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
But I had that imposter syndrome. I was
Right.
like, well, how can I help them if I just started? And so she clearly explained to me, she's, well, even if you're 2 steps ahead, you can teach them what you know.
Good advice.
That makes sense,
Yes.
right?
Very
So
good
so
advice.
they're looking at you and they haven't even started yet. They don't even know where
Right.
to start their business. You've crossed that pathway already.
Yes.
So you can at least tell them, here's what I did to start my business.
Right.
Teach what you know. And
Great
so I
advice.
said, okay, but I'm telling you, Jean, I was kicking and screaming. I was kicking and screaming. I'm like, I do not want to be a business coach. But I went along. I said, okay, fine, we'll do it. And so that's what transitioned me into more of the business arena.
Right.
But my heart is always mindset because I know that is at the root of everything.
Yes, it is.
So I said, how do I marry those two? And that's how it was born into a business mindset coach.
Right. Which I love.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's a niche there because there are people who specialize in mindset and there are people who specialize in business. And like I said in the beginning, when I signed up for this interior design business academy coaching program, one of the things I was drawn to was the added benefit of the mindset part, which you brought to the table and which Terry believes in and walks the walk as well. And so I think what you do offer is very niche.
Yeah. Yeah. But it took me a minute. I was like, oh, I don't know. So, and I'm still a work in progress. It's always evolving. Things are always, we're learning more as we evolve. And I learn different ways of supporting and helping my clients. So I'm still very heavy into mindset. I mean, if you work with me, that's the place where we start.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Because everything is rooted in that.
Yeah.
Everything. I can give you the strategies, the techniques, the ABCs, do this, do
Right.
that. But if what's going on between your 2 ears
Mhm.
is not connecting with what you really desire and it's not aligned with what you believe is
Mhm.
possible for you, you
Right.
will struggle.
Yes. How have you changed as a person since you really embraced this as your purpose in life is to be this mindset /
Oh,
business coach? How have you
yeah.
changed?
Yeah. It changed me tremendously. It really helped me to believe more in myself, even. We teach what we need.
Right. That's
That's
a
just the
great
truth.
phrase. I love
We
that.
teach what we need.
Yep.
And what I needed was to believe more in my own abilities.
Yeah.
in my own power and making the transition and really working with other women, it has taught me that I am this powerful being. I just am. And so it helps me to really resonate with that,
Mhm.
and it confirms that for me,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Oftentimes we're doing the work, we're serving, we're doing all the things, and we miss seeing where we really make impact.
Mhm.
But with this and all that I have created and done in my business and working with as many women as I have worked with, I actually get to see the impact. I can see it on your face
Right.
when it changes.
Yeah.
I can see it when the light goes off and you say, "Oh my God, that's a whole different perspective. I never even thought about it being that way."
Right. Yes.
Right? So I
Yes.
get to see it and celebrate it in the moment. So it has changed me tremendously. It gave me more courage. It helped me to really lock into my gift and my talents
Right.
and not be afraid to show that.
Mm. You get to
Yeah.
show your strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Let me ask you, I have a boyfriend who would be like, "So what exactly is a mindset coach?" I can hear it now. I can hear it now. He's gonna come home. He's gonna be like, "So who'd you interview?" I'll be like, "This one. She's a mindset coach." She'd be like,
She's a
"And
mindset
what
coach.
exactly?" I'll be like, "I understand mindset and you manifest things and all this stuff, but what exactly does a mindset coach do?"
Woo. We help you shift your perspectives.
Okay.
Look at things differently,
Yep.
right? Oftentimes we're looking at things based on what we've been taught,
Mhm.
how we've been raised,
Sure.
and there's more than one way of looking at anything. My grandmother used to say, "There's more than one way to skin a cat."
Mhm.
I don't know why anybody would want to skin a cat, but
Right.
there's
Yes.
apparently
Of
there's more
course.
than
It's a
one
great
way.
phrase, right? Yeah.
So when we're working with clients as a mindset coach, it's all about opening you up to different perspectives,
Sure.
opening your mind up to realizing that there's greater potential, possibilities, opportunities, all of those things that are around you. Because what happens is we get so locked in on what we believe this is it, this is the way it is, can't be any other way, that we don't see the opportunities that are there.
Right.
So it's really all about helping you to develop the growth mindset. There's two mindsets, the growth mindset and the fixed mindset.
Sure.
And oftentimes we're in that fixed mindset where we think, okay, everything that I know is all that I can learn. I can't learn anything else. Or what I have is what's possible for me, or what was modeled for me growing up is
Right.
what's possible for me, right?
Right.
The typical get a good education, get a good job,
Right.
stay there
Security,
until you get your pension.
security, stability,
Yes, yes, all of that.
predictability. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Entrepreneurs,
that's
we
all
throw
that
that
we
out.
can see. We can't see anything greater than that.
Right.
So as a mindset coach, I come in and really help you to expand your mind around what's possible for you, and then help you to believe what's possible for you, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest piece.
Of
And I
course.
laugh when you said, like, your boyfriend would say, "What's a mindset coach?" I was talking with a lady the other day. She's not a mindset coach, but she does podcasting.
Okay.
And she had hired a mindset coach. Her and her husband are in this business together. And the first session with the mindset coach, her husband was going to sit in. And so, of course, the mindset coach started with, let's examine like your values, what you're feeling. I'm going to do a meditation for you.
Right.
And she's like, her husband was looking like, a meditation? What is a meditation for? This is business. We don't need a meditation.
Right. Of course not. Right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But you do.
But you
You
do.
really do. Yeah.
You do. Yeah.
So it really is helping you to become more aware
Right.
of who you are
Mhm.
and the ability for you to become greater,
Right.
anything that you desire.
Yeah. I love that. Do you find your clients come to you? I know you talk about money, and I know you specialize in helping people with money issues, which I feel like I've
Mindsets.
never met an entrepreneur that doesn't have money issues because we've given up any sense of stability by leaving
Yeah.
and becoming an entrepreneur. So I think we all, any entrepreneur, we have money issues. But fear, do people come to you to help them with fear as well?
Yes. That's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah,
Even when we don't recognize it's fear,
of course.
but usually it is,
Yes.
right? That's what usually holds us back. So a lot of my clients are dealing with all kinds of fears.
Right.
There's the fear of failing,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
Yeah.
But then there's the fear of success too.
That's an interesting
And
one.
most people don't think about
I was just going
that,
to say,
but
let me deal with that one. Okay.
yeah.
I look
Yeah.
forward to calling you when that is my fear.
Like, I'm afraid of this,
You'll
but that's very real. It
right.
even happened with me. I experienced a bit of fear around success because when you acquire a certain level of success,
Mhm.
especially if it's a level above what you've ever experienced or what was modeled for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Key
Sometimes,
difference. Yes.
yes, that can generate a bit of fear because now the thought comes that I may have to, this is how we hear the thought. It's not true, but this is how we hear it. I may have to leave some people behind.
Yes. Of
That can
course.
be very frightening,
Yes.
right? Because that could mean sometimes your husband, your
Mhm.
wife,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Sometimes even your children,
Yes.
right? And so that's a real fear. If you don't know how to get out of that, like if you don't know how to stop thinking that way,
Right.
then it will hold you back. You will self sabotage yourself
Right.
and not move into situations that can bring the success that you really desire. So
Right.
there's this constant battle within you. Like I desire this, but I'm afraid, so I can't go towards it. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, lots of fear comes up. Lots of fear. Fear
Wow.
of money.
Yeah.
Fear of money. Like I've never had above a certain amount. So if I really create this business that generates a lot of money, there's fear in that.
Yes.
How will I handle that?
Right.
How will I manage that?
Right.
How will I protect that?
Right. Of course. Yes.
Yeah. So all kinds of fear. Yes.
That's interesting. You touched on a very interesting point, which is something that I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about, which is the fear of your social circle having to potentially change as you evolve and as you change. And
Yes.
I have found personally, the more I have become an entrepreneur and the less I am a corporate executive in corporate America, and the more I am into mindset, wellness, making myself a priority, making different lifestyle choices, the farther away I get from the person I used to be in that different role, and the harder it is for me to connect to people from that past life.
Yes. Yes. Because for them, they will always see you the way that they have always known you.
Right.
Right. And then when we start to make those changes, when we start to evolve, because that's really what's happening, it becomes difficult for them. And so sometimes it's like they view you as you think you're better than them, but
Right.
it's not about that. It's
No.
just that you're evolving, right?
Yes. And you're
So your
getting it.
circles will change. My circles
Yes.
changed tremendously
Yeah.
over the years. And I still have some lifelong friends, even from middle school. My best friend is from
Wow.
middle school. But we're so different in that she has never been an entrepreneur, and I have spent the majority of my life as an entrepreneur. So it's hard to have the same type of relationship when it comes to what are we doing in our lives professionally.
Yes, you
So
can
you
connect
just
on
kind of have
certain
to learn.
subjects, but
Yeah, yeah.
not
You have to
others.
learn
And you have to
that
learn. Yes.
I can't have this conversation with
No.
everyone
No.
because they
And
won't understand it.
they right. Yes, they won't understand it. And then sometimes it gets frustrating because they don't provide the support that you want them to provide for you. And it's
Yes.
to your point, being able to
Yes.
recognize that. And then also I can take that even a step further and say, internalize, like I did this for myself. I internalized it like there was now something wrong with me.
You.
And
Yep.
what have I done wrong that
Yes.
we don't connect anymore? And I was almost blaming myself for that
Yeah.
change and that loss of friendship, shall we say, in
Absolutely.
my own
Yeah.
life. And it took a long time, a long time to
To let go of
realize, yes, and to
that.
realize, no, this is part of the evolution and the growth, is that sometimes people might come and people might go as you're evolving. And we do have choices, like you say, you can choose to be stagnant and not evolve. And
Exactly.
but then you're missing the what if, which is the whole big mission of what we do, why we do what we do.
We do what we do. Yeah, because
Right.
then that then becomes regret. Like, oh
Right.
my God, I should have done that. But I love that you said that. You do kind of internalize it sometimes and feel like you've done something wrong. That is definitely one of the things that I deal with my clients a lot. Is like, what did I do wrong? Like, why
Right.
aren't they connecting with me the same way? It's nothing that you've done wrong.
Right.
It's just that you have evolved,
You've evolved
right?
and we're in
You've
different
evolved and
spaces.
we're in different places. That's
Yeah.
all. And you know that, some people come into our lives for just a season. And
Absolutely.
then there's other people that are in our lives for a lifetime.
Right.
right?
Yes.
But those that really are genuine, they of course want the best for you, even if they can't understand it. They still
Right.
want the best for you. And so
Yes.
now it becomes, when we evolve, I feel like it becomes our responsibility to nurture a different relationship
Yeah.
with that person, right? Or groups of people.
Yes.
We can still have the relationship, but the dynamics of it must change in
Right.
order for me to continue to thrive and you to not feel as though
Yes.
I'm different from you or
Right.
better than you.
Yes, because it's hard.
Yeah.
I have some friends that are like, "You manifested what?" Like, literally.
What is that?
Literally, they're like, "What is this voodoo shit you're talking about?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Journaling, intentions, manifestation. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
You are what you think about. You are what you say." And I have a few
None of
friends
that.
that
None of that.
look at me like, "There's no way
You
in
got 2
hell
hands.
I'm journaling, manifesting, meditating.
None
No
of that.
way. Like, you're on
Well,
your own."
you say that, and that was a hard part even for me because I was raised Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
Can't get any more religious than that.
Hence your
So,
awesome voice. That's why I say you are my church. That is so why I didn't even know that about you, but now it totally
yes.
comes together and makes sense.
Oh, yeah. So, imagine me stepping into this world of woo-woo, because I'm
Right.
very woo-woo,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And having my upbringing with my parents, my grandparents, most of my aunts and uncles, all of them, they're still, in that, which nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But as you evolve, which is what happened for me, as I evolved, I learned that God is greater than anything that I imagined in this little external being. So as I've learned that and start to live that, sometimes it is misunderstood.
Mhm.
And so sometimes you'll hear, I don't think she believes in God anymore. Oh, au contraire.
Right,
I believe
exactly.
even more,
Right, you've
right?
just expanded his definition, that's all. Or
Absolutely.
maybe he became a woman,
Greater
by
for
the
me.
way. Like,
Right.
he might have become a
There you
woman.
go. There you go. I don't label it like that
Right,
anymore, right?
exactly.
And so that causes change
Yes.
in your relationships and in the people that are part of your circle. One of the things that I've learned over the years is that as we become more evolved, and as I like to say, as we become more awakened,
Yep.
our inner circle has to change.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
has to,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'll have people in my inner circle that are not in alignment with what I believe, or they're not in alignment with what I believe is possible for me.
Right.
And so if I spend all my time and energy trying to convince
Mhm.
them
Right.
that this is possible for me and this
Right.
is great,
Yep.
and
Right.
it's a waste of my energy and
It's a
time.
good point, but that can be terrifying.
It
It
is.
can be
It
really.
really is, because
Yeah,
you can feel like you're gonna be alone. And
exactly.
as an entrepreneur, this is probably the loneliest place
It
for
is.
us to exist in.
It's
Because
fair.
often we're not working with anyone.
No.
We're doing all this on our own.
Yeah.
And even as we continue to build these businesses, yes, we have teams and we work with people in that way. There's still this very lonely space. I actually just wrote an article about the loneliness in entrepreneurship. There's this lonely space that we feel like some of the people that are closest to us, like our family,
Mhm.
we really can't share the stuff that we are dealing with in this entrepreneurial space
No.
because they won't get it.
No, they won't
So
understand, or
that
you won't get the support, or you won't get the empathy. Or I've also found for me personally, it requires a level of vulnerability, which is very uncomfortable,
yes,
especially
very
when things are not going well.
well. That's
And
right.
that
Very,
is a very uncomfortable space. And
yes,
that
it is.
taps into imposter syndrome. I'm going to fail. I'm not good enough. Someone's going to judge me. And those are tough spaces to be
They're
in.
tough. They're tough. And you
Mhm.
think about, if you're trying to convince the ones that are closest to us, what they say matters.
Oh,
Even when we know it's not true,
yes.
even when we know it goes against what we desire and what we are trying to accomplish in our lives, and we want to stay focused on the positive, we want to stay focused on, I know this is possible for me.
Right.
When they say something other than that, it matters.
Of course.
Now, we may be able to brush it off in the moment and say, "Oh, no, I know that's not true. I still
Mm.
believe." Somewhere in the midnight hour,
Still sitting back there.
that little thing comes
It's that
back.
bird is still back there and he's got a little hum and a little chirp.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the moment we open an ear to it, just a little ear to
Right.
it, then there is another thought added, then another thought added. And before you know it, you're down this rabbit hole of doubt,
Yeah.
confusion, frustration, anger, all of those lower level energies. And you got to fight like hell to try to pull yourself back up.
Back out.
So, my suggestion is always when we have those family members or friends that are not necessarily in alignment with what we believe and what we're trying to accomplish,
Yes.
is we have to limit our time.
Ooh, that's
Just
good.
limit our time, right? So we're not cutting you off completely, but I have to limit how much of that I can take in
Right.
because 10 minutes of that could cost me 4 hours of trying to get out of that rabbit hole.
Totally. The negative banter that stays and it sits with you, and then your brain spins into a negative spiral of maybe I should be listening to them. Maybe they're right. They know
Oh,
me
yeah.
better. They've known me a long time. They're looking out for my best interests. Maybe I'm not really paying attention. Maybe I'm
Oh,
blind to what's really going on here.
yeah.
Oh, and
The
on and
story
on.
you can
Right.
create,
And
right?
on and on and on.
And before you know it, you got this story in your head.
Right.
That's what you're hearing. So now you make decisions based on that story. So now I'm not going to go after that large job.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not going to go after being promoted on a podcast. I'm not going to go after speaking on stage
Right.
because that story is dictating my actions now.
Of course. Yep. Which is a tough one. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. So I want to transition to your podcast. What made you decide to start a podcast?
I did a podcast probably 10 years or so ago,
Okay.
and I had a co-host at the time.
Okay.
And we probably did it for about 2 years.
Wow.
And one of the struggles was getting guests. We kind of let it go and said, we're not going to do it. But then after working with so many women and coaching women, one of the things that I often heard was, I could listen to your voice all day, all day.
Yep.
And I wish that I could have you with me as I'm trying to make decisions or facing something that is a little bit fearful or feeling less confident. If I could just hear your voice, that would help me. And so I said, okay, I guess I should start a podcast again. So I started this podcast again. And, much like yourself, I just want to be able to encourage and uplift and empower women to know that they can do, be, or have anything
Which
that
I
they desire.
love. I used to have a notes section in my notes app on my phone, which was like Valerie's wisdom. And I would write in Valerie's little wisdoms. And now that I listen to your podcast, I still actually go write some of those wisdoms down to remind myself you have so many incredibly powerful nuggets of information to help women stay on the right track. And also, I think to feel connected and not alone, because you have a really interesting way of delivering your messages and your thoughts and your suggestions without it coming with any judgment, and having it come from a place of such understanding because you have been there and you do this work. You are living this work, which I think is so important. You can't just talk about it. You have to be fully all in and embracing anything to be doing the type of work you're doing.
Yes. And that's why I tell people all the time when you're searching for help in some of these areas, whether it's a mindset coach, marketing coach, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, always make sure that the person that you're considering, they have experienced what they're teaching,
Right.
not just book knowledge.
Yes.
I love education,
Sure.
but book knowledge can't give you what experience gives you.
Agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And some of the stuff, I find it so amazing because some of the stuff that comes up for me when I'm working with clients and when I'm talking to people, I don't even know where it comes from, but I believe
Yeah.
it comes from that innate gift that I've been given.
Sure.
And I can't get that from a book. I've never seen that in a book. But I just know when I talk to people, when I connect with people, I can feel what is really most challenging and daunting for them that keeps them from moving forward.
Right.
And so that's that gift that I have to
It's the
pull it out.
gift.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why
Let's
not
just put it
everybody
out.
is a mindset coach or a
Exactly.
business coach or a life coach, because not
Exactly.
everybody can do that.
Right.
It
Right.
is a skill.
It's a skill. It's a gift.
It is a
It's
gift.
a gift. And I'm just grateful that I settled into it and
Mhm.
accepted it.
Right.
Because oftentimes when we have gifts and talents, we discard them because we feel like, well, everyone should know that. And I used to say that a lot.
Yes.
Everyone should know that. Everyone should know how to respond to that or
Of
how to
course.
handle that.
Yes.
But no, they don't.
No, you're
Because
right.
that's the gift that I have. So I'm glad that I was able to settle into it and accept it, acknowledge it, and then act on it. My greatest gift is giving it to others, making sure that they understand and know.
And they can learn from that.
Yeah.
How do you find you get most of your clients?
Referral.
Really?
Most are referral.
Yeah.
Most are referral. It's still kind of,
Which is good.
who says I need a mindset coach? But it is mostly referral.
Until people have one and they're like, oh, and that's one of the reasons why I have you on. I'm like, oh, folks, if you've never had one, you need one.
You need one.
You do.
Yes, because
You need
we will
one.
certainly keep you progressing, right? We'll keep you moving forward and examining what's really real for you and what's really important for you.
Right.
Because a lot of times we start businesses or we do different things, ministries, all of that, but we don't tap into what is the real reason that this is so important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we can discover that and then come from that space, like for you, not only beautiful spaces, but the wellness within.
Yeah.
When we can tap into that, it makes all the difference in the world in how we serve and how we impact the world.
Yes. And I love you said it a couple of times, how we serve. And I have found that some of the most successful entrepreneurs are not doing it because they do it for the money. They need the money. Everybody needs to live, but it's coming from a much deeper place within them and a place of purpose and passion. And so you being able to help people tap into that will just innately lead to more success.
Absolutely. It will follow. The money will always follow.
Right. It will.
Right?
Yes.
Money will always follow. And especially if you follow your heart first, everything will follow. Everything that you're looking for will follow.
You saying the money will always follow. I tell myself that all the time. All the time. That's a Valerie quote. Money will follow. Money will come.
Money will follow.
It'll come.
When I first started, I remember in the very beginning, and when I was getting ready to start the business, my husband and I had a meeting with our CPA, and he was asking me, like, what's your goals? What do you want to do with the business? How do we need to structure this? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just want to help a lot of people. So he's like, what do you mean help a lot of people? You want a business or you want?
Right, that's not a business plan.
I was like, yeah, I want it to be a business, but I just want to help a lot of people. Right. So he was like, okay, that's great. But we're talking numbers.
Right. But yet I'm a CPA, by the way.
What does that mean? Let's talk about the money, right?
That's fluffy. That's woo-woo. Yeah, you're in the U.
That's
woo-woo. Right.
So I remember saying to him, well, I don't need to charge a lot. His eyes, of course, are getting bigger and bigger. Like, what are we talking about? What do you mean? Then this won't be a business.
Right.
This will be something you do on the side, like a little hobby. Just do that.
Right. Yes, that's a good point.
Oh my God. And so that was my first lesson in, but you have to charge the value that you bring. And so I had in my mind, like, oh, I'll charge this amount. And he's like, well, you're obviously going to help a hell of a lot of people to try to get to this level, right? It's like, I think that's too low. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. So it has never been solely about the money for me. It has always been first about the people. Yeah. And really helping the people. Right. Yeah. And so I had to go through that same thing. Some of the things I taught in IDBA of getting out of the charge little so we can just help people.
Right. But no, because you are very good at also helping people understand your worth. And making sure you are getting paid for your worth and that you have value. And a lot of times as women and as entrepreneurs, we tend to diminish how we think about ourselves and our value, or we think we don't have enough education, or we don't have enough experience, or we're not as good at this as somebody else. And we talk ourselves down from our worth. And I think what I learned from you is that it's not just about the money, because the money is a correlation to how you value yourself. And so if you're willing to charge a little bit more, then you mentally up the game internally about your actual worth, where if you are charging less, you're actually making yourself smaller. You might not think you are, but you are mentally making yourself smaller.
Yeah. You were listening.
I listened. I took notes. I'm a really good student.
That is, I mean, we mentioned a couple of times about the imposter syndrome, and it's so real in every situation. And it shows up often as you level up, it'll
Yeah.
show up again
Yeah.
because you won't feel like, oh, you're this high level or high end, person or whatever. I remember for myself, the imposter syndrome was real for me too, because what I viewed as other coaches, especially other business coaches that were out there, I always viewed it as they have more than me. They create more results than I do
Right.
because mindset for me has never been something that is tangible.
Right.
So it made it difficult for me to see my impact
Mhm.
and the value because there was not this tangible thing. There was
Right.
nothing that, I could say, well, in 6 months,
Right.
you're going to have 30 clients.
Right,
I'm
exactly. Your
helping you get
revenue's
clients.
going from A to
Right.
B. It's
Or your revenue
very
is gonna go.
measurable, right? You're missing
Exactly,
that. Yes.
exactly. So for me, that kept me in the position of imposter syndrome. Do I really know what I'm doing there? Because what's my real result?
Right.
But I had to do my work.
Yeah.
I had to do
Hey,
my work
your own
to
best.
understand that my real impact is in the transformation that then allows them to get the income level that they want
Right.
or get the clients that they want,
Right.
right? Or start the business that they want.
Right.
It's the transformation that produces the tangible things that I see others saying, that's what I can do for you.
Right. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is true. And there's value in that transformation. It's
absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely.
All right. So before we run out of time, I want to make sure we talk about your book.
Yay.
Let's talk about your
It's my
book.
book. Yay.
Voices of the 21st
So,
Century. Talk about
yeah.
how this came to be.
Yes. So this came about, a friend of mine actually referred me to this collaboration for this
Mhm.
book. Voices of the 21st Century has been around for probably, I think this is their eighth, and it is founded by a woman by the name of Gail Watson. She is actually the president and founder of the Women's Speakers Association.
Okay.
And she wanted to put together a book that was filled with women who shared their stories,
Okay.
much like you.
Yeah, sure.
So
Absolutely.
this one is all about women empowered through passion and purpose.
Ooh, that's right up your alley.
Right up my alley.
Right up your
So when
alley.
my friend introduced this to me, and she's like, "You should check it out." I was like, "Oh, I have to be in this book."
Right.
So I wrote my chapter, and my chapter's on page 125. If you ever get the book,
I
you
will
can go to
get
my
the
website and get it too.
I will get the
But
book from your website.
125, and I wrote my chapter on the mindset blueprint, designing my victory.
Ooh, I like
So
that.
I talked about my failures and how I came up from the failures to success,
I love that.
right?
Sure.
Failures in relationship,
Yeah.
failures in business, all of it.
Makes you
And so
relatable.
my chapter covers all of that
Makes you
in my
relatable.
journey,
I love
my
it.
story.
I am absolutely
So
going to
I
buy your book.
love it.
And
Yeah.
I am
And
going
I've
to
actually
link.
signed up to be in the next one, which is wisdom. Empowered women wisdom, I think, or something along that. It's all about wisdom.
Well, you have lots of
So
that. There's no
yes,
lack of
and
content for you.
thank you. So I'm writing the chapter for that, which is due on the 30th of this month. So I'm a little behind, but it'll come out.
It will.
And that's part of wanting to share and help women. If I can do it even in the written form like this,
Yes.
oh my goodness,
Yeah.
makes such a difference.
Sure.
And there's so many exciting stories in here from women of all walks of life. Not all of them are business owners. Some of them are just sharing their story,
Which is
right?
amazing.
So yeah, so I love it. So you can certainly get
I
this
am
on my
going,
website.
and I'm going to get it, and I'm also going to link it in the show notes so that people can link
Thank
right to
you.
it and they can get it as well.
Thank you.
How can my guests find you? And then we're going to talk about a book for you to recommend to my guests. But how do you want guests to find you?
They can find me at valeriepriester.com. I am Valerie Priester on all social media platforms. I think Instagram is V Priester.
Okay.
So I try to keep it pretty simple
Consistent.
and
Yep.
congruent. So Valerie Priester anywhere.
Okay, perfect. And what's the name of your business so that people know?
Victorious Life Coaching.
I love it. And that will also be in the notes.
Thank you.
So I have all of my guests recommend a book that has impacted either their wellness journey, their career journey, their life journey, something that had an impact on them, because I think there's so much value in books, as you said, and being an author and myself being an author, there's a lot of power in books. So what is a book that you would recommend everyone should read?
I highly recommend The Four Agreements.
Oh, you are my second guest today who has said
Really?
yes, the second one today.
See how powerful that book is?
And I love that book.
Highly recommend it.
Love that book. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That book taught me about loving myself,
Mhm.
and then it also taught me how to really just how to live. And I believe that that's how I've always lived. It's just natural for me, but
Right.
it confirmed for me that living this way has been very beneficial for me.
I love
So
that.
I highly recommend it.
I love that. We will link that in the show notes as well. And as I said to the other guest I had this morning who had that same book to recommend, I've read that book and I've read it a couple of times. And we were talking about the power of that book and reading that book at different times and different stages, because you will receive different messages depending on where you are. And it will
Yes.
sort of serve up to you what you need at that time. And she was describing it as, it's a nightstand book. And I was like, it
It
really
is.
is. I was
Really
like, you're right.
is.
I
I
have mine in
refer
my
back to it
office
a lot.
on a stack of books in my office. But I was like, you're right. It is a nightstand book that you grab, and it can provide inspiration at any time on different subjects. It's not a one and done ever.
No, I've read it several times,
Yeah.
and just for that reason.
Yes.
Because in certain phases of our lives, we see things differently. Our perspective changes. I mean, think about you 20 years ago to where you are now,
Oh my
right?
goodness. Me 2 years
Totally
ago.
different. Yeah.
I feel like I'm a big work in progress here.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know. It's like
You are.
the more work you do, the more work you realize you need to do.
Even you need to do, right? Absolutely true.
But that's
Absolutely.
okay. That's part of the journey. That's
That's
okay.
part of the journey. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Valerie, thank you so much for being on my show. You are just such a ray of sunshine and light and motivation. Your voice is amazing. Your messages are amazing. I encourage everyone. I'm going to link your podcast as well in the
Thank
notes.
you.
Go and follow and listen to you, and follow you on Instagram, because the things that you are doing are really impactful and align so much with the things I believe in. And I personally thank you, because you really helped me from a mindset perspective and really changed how I felt a mindset coach really could contribute to the overall business platform for me. So I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I hear you all the time in my own voice.
I really appreciate that, and I honor you. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Oh, thank you for being a guest. I appreciate it, and we will talk soon. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the House of Jermar podcast, where wellness starts within. We appreciate you being a part of our community and hope you felt inspired and motivated by our guest. If you enjoyed this episode, please write us a review and share it with friends. Building our reach on YouTube and Apple Podcasts will help us get closer to our mission to empower 1 million women to live all in. You can also follow us on Instagram at House of Jermar and sign up to be a part of our monthly inspiration newsletter through our website, houseofjermar.com. If you or someone you know would be a good guest on the show, please reach out to us at podcast@houseofjermar.com. This has been a House of Jermar production with your host, Jean Collins. Thank you for joining our house.